everyone. My name is Deneen White, and I'm the host of the Coffee in the Green Room podcast. Here on Coffee in the Green Room, we have those conversations you may not have on stage, you have before you step foot on stage with the other speakers. Today, I am so excited to have Shane Mahoney here. Hi, Shane. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Deneen.
You're welcome. So, Shane, let's jump into it. But before we get started, can you please tell my audience just a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think probably the easiest way is to talk about how stressful it is for families to be able to go on vacation. We all want to go on vacation, but I think we all at some level deep within our bones understand how stressful and laborious that process can be to be able to actually go. So what do I do? My team and I actually make that process what we call a vacation from planning a vacation. It's the easiest, most stress-free plan of having a fantastic, amazing vacation for you and your family, but without any hassle.
That sounds amazing. My mother used to complain that whenever we went on vacation, she had to work 10 times harder. So please, how do you do, tell me how you do this.
I would love to, but if I told you what I actually do, it seems so intuitive and so simple that it won't actually highlight how different we actually are. So I actually like to start with how everybody in the world sells luxury travel so that you can see how we're actually different.
That sounds amazing. Let's do it.
All right. So universally, every single company that does either private or group tours with anybody anywhere has the same exact process. I know because it's the same process I had for the first 10 years that we did business until I came up with a better way. And so what is that? You go to a website, there's usually a web form, you fill it in, it's like, hey, I'd like to go to Italy. And then they set up a phone call. And if you like long phone calls, congratulations, you're about to have about an hour of that. And after your 1 hour phone call, about 3 to 5 business days later is when they're going to give you their first proposal. Okay.
That sounds stressful already.
Right. So here's the good news. If you make one single change, any change whatsoever, days, tours, hotels, anything, it's going to be another 3 to 5 days to get an update. And so generally speaking, from the day you start any inquiry about luxury travel anywhere in the world until the day that you're usually satisfied enough to sign the contract is typically about 3 weeks. Okay. Start to finish. And here's where I really started to study this a number of years ago, is because we have to think about the psychology of most people. Deneen, not one customer that I've ever met has sat down with their significant other or their family and said, we're going to take a great vacation this summer. And then the next day or next week called a travel professional. Nobody does that. Okay. Because we all understand that it's kind of stressful and we want a vacation to be able to get away from stress. We do what everybody does. We kick this decision down the road as far as we can. And then what usually happens is about 2 to 3 months after you've actually decided to go on vacation, you start becoming keenly aware that your lack of having a plan is now going to cost you money, and it's going to be harder to find places. The flights are more expensive, and yada, 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 right?
Yeah.
So what happens is people generally call a travel professional where their stress level is already up to their neck when they begin this 3-week process. And by the time they've finished and they've gone through phone calls and back and forth, generally speaking, what I found a lot of times is that people under stress will take a bad plan over having no plan at all. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what we see more than anything else is people taking cruises or going on vacation places that they've already been before. And I totally get it, because once you've made the decision to do that, all the stress is really off your plate. Now you've decided what you're going to do, and now it's something that's you can now anticipate, right? And the
Yeah.
anticipation, I think we all know, is fun. Okay,
Yes.
so have I described the problem well enough?
Yes, you have. I'm sweating here thinking about planning a vacation. So you've done a
Well, you're
great
shaking
job.
your head like you've been here before.
You know what? I'm not the most decisive person in the world. When it comes to business and things, I am. But when it comes to travel, I'm like, oh yeah, let's figure it out. And let's figure it out ends up with me on like some kind of tram car going to the top of a mountain thinking, how did I get here? So yes,
Yeah.
you're describing me to a T right now.
All right. So now we can talk about what Lugos Travel does and how it works. Anybody can go to our website. You can pick any of over 20 destinations. We have over 70 tours in those destinations, covering a variety of amounts of days, cities visited, et cetera, et cetera. Once you pick one or more of those tours and you're actually in the tour screen, there's a little yellow box. It says, "Get my itinerary now." If you click that button, in less than 10 minutes, you have a fully customizable proposal, valid for travel any day of the year with no difference in price
What?
in under 10 minutes. You can customize it completely yourself without any need for any assistance, although we give lots of assistance to clients who need it and have questions, okay? But if you're comfortable with everything, you should know that there's not one single option that's terrible. They're all vetted, curated, amazing options. And we have all of those options in 4 major categories, and we have 2 minor categories, which no other agency on the planet offers as part of their standard package.
So it sounds to me that you've made traveling like the Staples easy button. You push the button and then because you've done all of the due diligence, now it's literally like choose your own adventure.
It is exactly that, right? So, like you might want to go to Rome, Florence, and Venice. We can do that for 8 days, or we can do that for 11 days. Okay. And on a custom basis, we can make it anywhere and any amount of time that you want to go. So what we've done is we've tried to streamline the entire process of buying travel so that it's not a stressful occasion. And because here's the thing is we understand that our clients are typically busy executives, entrepreneurs, family people, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I have one 9-year-old son. And by the time my day's over and we cook dinner and we put him to bed and we do all this stuff, it's like 9 o'clock at night. And now is the first time of the day that my wife and I could be thinking about vacations and things that we need to plan and do stuff. We're not
Yeah.
at our best, right?
No.
And so really, how could we make that process better? And we worked for over 2 years with every single one of our partners, hotels, guides, everything. Because one of the things I wanted to get rid of more than anything else is one thing that I think sucks in the travel industry is what I call from pricing. Do you know what that is?
Yes, where it starts starting at $99 and it can go up
Right.
to like a billion, it feels like sometimes.
Well, it's like if you were to, let's say, go to, and I'm picking Italy because you said you wanted to go to Italy and I put up
One
this
day.
rank, right? So we'll just pick on Italy or Iceland or Belgium or whatever, okay? If I gave you a from price, it's going to be for the dates that are the absolute worst to go.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to pick those dates, okay? And so when you finally tell me your dates, I'm going to have a conversation that says, well, Deneen, we could never do that tour on those dates, this price. For those dates, it would have to be this much. And I thought that was really disingenuous, right? So like, what could we do to create a process where you don't have to have that friction in stress in your life? Like, I want to go on vacation whenever I want to go on vacation. That could be
Yeah.
because of my kids are out of school, or it could be because that's when I have a holiday, or it just could be the perfect time for me to visit that particular place. What I don't want to do is dicker and go back and forth about like, well, how much is this? How much is that date? And stuff like that. So
Yeah.
we got rid of all of the issues that typically keep people from being able to have a wonderful experience and make it super simple because we understand that you just don't, our clients, they don't have time. They don't have time. They don't have the ability to put it in together. And if they could do it themselves, that would be a big mistake, because then they're just adding another job on top of the job that they already have. And there's nothing not stressful about that.
Yeah. I love this because you know what? I travel a lot for work.
You do?
And one of the things that drives me bananas, and if the airlines can hear me, like I hope you change your ways, but like I'll be looking for a flight and it says starting from like $136. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. But the flight's at like 2 a.m. and it has 4 stops. I'm like, come on
Yeah.
now. It's not
Yeah.
really from anything. So I love that you've set up the system. Let's talk a little bit about the psychology of this too, because it is very stressful. It sounds like an oxymoron. It's so stressful to plan a vacation, but like I mean, I know you make it frictionless because you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm gonna push this button, then it's gonna go up a couple $1,000s. But like talk about like the whole experience of working with you. Because I know we saw you, Mike and I were traveling and we saw you in the airport. We're like, oh, that's so cool. We're all
I
traveling
know.
together. But talk about like what's not only you making it easy and less stressful, but like what are some other little touches that Lugos Travel puts on the trips that maybe other companies don't do?
I think we thought of a 360-degree approach to all the facets of travel that matter. And so first and foremost, Lugos was the ancient god of all arts and the protector of all travelers in Gaul before Julius Caesar conquered that area and renamed the god to Mercury. We all know Mercury.
Yeah.
Lugos was actually the name of the god back then. And so that is both a nod to my French heritage, and more specifically, though, it is our dedication to safety. So there's a number of things that we do to be able to create a safe experience for our clients so that they don't stick out like sore thumbs. They're not carrying a bunch of paperwork with them that look like tourists with a big red X on that says, come rob me, right? There's a ton of stuff that we do, but let's talk about like from start to finish what you can expect. So in 10 minutes you get your proposal. Let's just say that you take as much time as you want to feel comfortable and customize what you want, and you say yes. Okay. First things first, we require only a $3,000 deposit, and the balance is due 90 days before departure. In between that time, we're going to send a lot of emails that are telling you like when to call your bank, when to call your cell phone, what to do in certain situations. We're going to send you adapters so that you can recharge your phone for every country that you go to, okay? So you don't have to go to Amazon and wonder what kind of adapters do I need to buy so I can charge up my phone.
Where were you when I went to England 25 years ago, my friend?
Right, because like that's one of those stressful things. Like what system of electricity do they use? How am I
Yeah.
going to plug in my such and such? Right?
Yeah.
Like these are all things that people have to think about if they don't use us, but with us, you don't have to think about it at all. Like, you know what happens more often than not is international systems can drain your phone battery a lot faster because they're hopping from different towers faster. And so because of that, and because generally speaking, as a tourist, you're taking substantially more video and pictures than you do in your normal everyday life, most people will drain their batteries by about 3 p.m. And guess what? There's still some cool stuff to see and do from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7, 8, 9, 10 p.m. And what are you going to do? You're going to miss out on all of that? No. Another thing that we mail every single one of our clients is a battery backup. So at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you can plug 2 different phones into the battery backup, charges both of them at the same time, and bam, now you're not going to run out of battery. You're going to be able to access your itinerary, which we also have on an app-based system.
Oh,
And you're in good hands. What else? We include leather luggage tags, really nice ones. I think you've seen them. And we pre-print your name and phone number and address on them so that your bags are not going to get lost. Okay. On on our app, we're going to specifically have map points for your hotels, restaurants, points of interest.
Wow.
So if you have specific time to yourself and you want to explore the city and you have a trusted advisor that tells you only the best things, and you can get turn-by-turn directions directly to your phone with how to get to those things. So for example, in Rome, there's a little circle that's about 1.6 miles. It goes from the Trevi Fountain, the Spanish Steps, the Piazza di Popolo, the Castel Sant'Angelo, Piazza Novana, and the Pantheon, right? And we basically lay those things out so that if you don't pay for the additional ancient Rome tour option, you still get to check out all those things on your own speed, and you can do them in whatever order you want throughout the day as you wish. So we make things super easy for you to be able to do that. Our app also gives you all of your flight details, terminals, gates, delays, anything and everything is in the app. We have a 5-day weather forecast at every single one of your hotel locations. We have a memories or a journaling feature that allows you to journal your own pictures and your own notes about your trip in the specific day that you took them, so that as you flip through your memories of what you did, you also get to see your own memories of what you did as you added them. We have a messaging feature that allows you to directly access 24/7 support with anything and everything that you could possibly need, whether it's restaurant reservations for tomorrow or, hey, I need to move my transfer up from 9:30 to 9 a.m., whatever, okay? We're going to basically consult with every single piece and part of what you do. We register all of our travelers, international travelers, with the US State Department to ensure that the government knows who you are, where you are, how to get a hold of you, so that if there really is a problem, think like October 7th and you're in Israel, like the US government can extract the people that, you know, we care. Like we want you to be able to get out of harm's way if there's things going on that you're not aware of, but Uncle Sam is. Also on our map feature, this is so simple, but like when you're having a medical emergency, do you really want to be starting to flip through Google in another country and figuring it out? No, we put every 24 hours hospital and medical facility on your map, so that worst case scenario, if there's ever a problem and you just happen to be out and about, you can literally show the hospital sign to any taxi driver, and whether they speak your language or not, they know exactly what you're talking about and where to take you. Wow. So it's about being able to have answers fast. So essentially, and this is my favorite, how about the stress of getting to the airport? Okay. We have a private car pick you up at your house and take you to the airport, and we don't consider our job done until you come back to your house by our driver as well. As a matter of fact, when I saw you at the airport, I was getting dropped off by a driver, and you guys were getting dropped off by a friend.
And it was a very nice car too. I was like, "Ooh,
yeah." Like, look at this guy. What is up with this?
He's a baller. Look at this.
No, but you know, the thing is it's about the psychology of thinking where people are, right?
Yeah.
And so like I live roughly an hour away from the airport. Most people generally live about 30 to 45 minutes away from most major airports, right?
Yeah.
And so here's what I thought about, right? It's not that big a deal to drive to the airport when you leave. Okay.
Yeah,
but when you go to Europe, you have to be at the airport 3 hours early. And generally speaking, you're going to leave anywhere from 3 a.m. if your flights are really early, like 6, 7 a.m., right? Or if your flights are even at 11 a.m., you're still going to be getting up around like 5 a.m. Now that's 5 a.m. Europe's time, which is 6 hours ahead of Florida time. So it's basically like getting up at 11 p.m. for me of my time. Okay. Then I'm going to fly 10, 12, maybe 13 hours with layovers. Then I'm going to land, go through customs, get my bags. That's usually another hour to 2 hours, right? And then I'm going to get in my car when I'm exhausted and just completely depleted and drive in traffic for an hour back to my house, that's so irresponsible. And here's the thing is you're spending money for parking anyway. Why not make your life a little easier and just go ahead and get a car? So we just streamline that entire process to make it super simple for people to be able to have a great experience no matter what, right?
That's amazing. I love that so much. Sign me up. Tell me where to sign up, Shane. I'm ready. We're gonna be vacationing.
LugosTravel.com. It's super easy.
LugosTravel.com. Oh no, I love all of that. And I love that you've thought of every little detail about the travel. And I think if you're listening to this podcast and you're not interested in travel, like for your business, start thinking about how can you set yourself apart from other businesses, because what you're doing is it's very potentially a disruptor in the travel industry, because like again, we're planning a trip in a couple weeks. We're going to be going to Hollywood for an event, and it's like we do all these things. We have to do our flights, we have to rent the car, we have to get the Airbnb, we have to get all the spaces, all these things. And like having someone thinking, I think part of the reason I don't vacation is because I do that so much for business. I'm
Right.
like, I can't even fathom like doing all this and then pretending that I'm going to be able to relax at any point. But it sounds like you've taken it and you've made it so much easier.
Well, you know what I found? There's two things that happen when you plan a vacation yourself. Okay. Two things that are inescapable truths. One, you cannot surprise yourself. It's impossible.
That's
Okay.
true.
What more likely happens, and you just kind of detailed it, is because of all the planning you're going to do, making sure that all the pieces fit, putting all the things together, doing all the research, more than likely, if you plan it yourself, you're going to spend so much time living in the experience before you've had it that when you actually go, you're just rehashing something you feel like you've already done.
Yeah, like and imagine like you've been imagining it for so long. Now it's like, okay, this isn't what I was
Well,
expecting.
you know that, at 2 p.m. the driver's going to pick you up and you're going to go to the Coliseum and you're going to do this tour and you know how long the tour is and you know this and all that stuff, right? You've been
Yeah.
researching, looking at pictures and checking. I mean, if you did the job right? You've been
Yeah.
doing all this stuff. Whereas my clients, we give them the app of, all their details about a month early. They look at all the stuff and they're like, oh, cool. We're going to be picked up at 2 o'clock. What do they need to know? Nothing. Go to their lobby at 2 o'clock. That's it. They
Yeah.
didn't have to like check everything out. And so they get to actually live that entire experience in real time with the actual point of being there. But the second thing that people cannot do when they plan their own vacation is actually be on vacation the whole time. And what I mean by that is this: if there's any emergency of any kind, doesn't matter how small it is, the Airbnb canceled your place, your reservation, the hotel had a fire, the train strikes happen, or cab strikes, or any number of things that could happen, right? Anything like that happens, guess what? You go from vacation mode to work mode like that.
Yeah.
Now you are stressed out trying to solve a problem as opposed to enjoying what you came there to see and do. And I've got probably the best example of this. We can solve problems in real time before our clients even understand that there is a problem.
Oh
Okay.
wow.
So we had a client that was staying in one city and they were going to another city by way of train. And so because we include private English speaking transportation anytime you have your luggage, as we said, starting from your home,
Yeah.
we have a car pick you up at your hotel, take you to the train station. You take the train to the next destination. Another car picks you up and takes you to your hotel. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. Everybody loves it, right?
Yeah.
Well, at 2 a.m., while they were sleeping, the train people decided they were going to strike. So the train was no longer an option, right? So what we did is we went ahead and coordinated with the the transportation company to go ahead and pick them up just like they were going to be picked up and take them all the way to the next destination. But because it was far and because it would take longer than the train, we also arranged for them to have a 2-hour stop in a city along the way so that they could have a little bit of an experience along the way, have a little lunch and relax. So when they woke up, they packed like they normally would have. They got into their car like they normally would have. And it's then that they were told, hey, listen, there's a train strike. No worries. We're going to take you the rest of the way. You'll be there in a few hours, and we got a little stop for you on the way to have a little lunch. Now, which way would you like to travel? Would you like to wake up, get into your car, get to the train station, and then find out that, by the way, you're not going to make it to your next destination, and your hotel that you were at can't give you back your reservation, and the hotel where you were is going to charge you for the one you missed?
No,
Yeah,
I want the car service. I'm all in.
right. So it's just thinking about these things from a holistic approach. You know what's one of the things I totally just forgot? One of the things we also like to make sure that we include with every single one of our clients. This is so simple and so small, but it made a huge impact. We include a fashion guide, a curated fashion guide that gives you actionable tips on what to wear, whether it's raining, whether it's cold, whether it's hot, whether you're in Europe or the Maldives, whether you're wearing flip-flops, or, we basically lay every single thing out for you so that you can pack easy, feel comfortable being in another country, and not feel like you're sticking out like a sore thumb.
That's awesome. I've been reading up a lot on Paris for whatever reason, and that like Paris, apparently they have a whole fashion guide of the way to dress when you're in Paris. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, if I ever go
Yeah,
to Paris. So that's amazing. So
yeah, we have that.
I love that so much. Now let's talk about this, because what, entrepreneurs or DIYers also. They're always like, let's
Sure.
bootstrap this and let's figure this out on their own. And you made a really good comparison. You talked about how at one point you were in the car finance, you were a car finance manager.
I was, yeah.
And people would come in and they're like, oh, I don't need your advice. I can negotiate on my own. I bought a car 8 years ago. So can you talk a little bit about the people that might think, oh, this sounds really great, but I can do this on my own? Can you talk a little bit about why should someone trust an expert in any field, especially travel?
Yeah, I mean, especially travel, it is one of those things that I think most entrepreneurs are going to go ahead and schedule their own Ubers and their own flights and their own rental cars for a lot of the business meetings and things that they're doing. And I honestly don't think you really need a travel professional for anything like that. If there's any viewers who are watching, we actually have a form that we'll happily give out, which allows you to give all your tastes and preferences to your VA so that they can book things the right way for you when it comes to those types of activities. We think of things that you generally don't think of in terms of preferences that are available, like pillows, amount of hangers, like what temperature would you like your room to be at when you get there, like stuff like that, okay? So we do think of ways to be able to streamline a lot of those processes. But the truth is that once you get used to doing something over and over and over again, you think falsely that you're an expert at it. And I saw this, like you were saying, in the car business. We were kind of talking off air, and it's like if you're in your mid to late 40s or 50s and you've bought a car every 3 to 5 years, you've bought several cars, right? And you sit there and you think, like, I've been in this process before. I know what I'm looking at. I know what I want. I know what I want to pay. And this familiarity breeds this attitude that you are somehow an expert at something. And
Yeah.
it's about being in your zone of excellence versus being in your zone of genius. Okay.
That's really good. I
So
like
your
that.
zone of excellence is things that you can do very well, but they're not exactly what you're actually the best at. Okay.
Yeah.
And so as a finance manager, I was processing hundreds of cars per month. And so I would see the reality of whether you were a good negotiator or not. And generally speaking, this is a general, the more bravado somebody had about how great they were at buying cars, generally the worse they actually were at it. Okay. You'd be surprised. And so what I saw is the same thing in my business. Because you've booked a hotel, you think you know something about booking hotels in other countries. And like, you know, what is the difference between a 4-star and a 5-star property? And the answer is it's complicated, because if you're talking about a hotel in the United States, it's a completely different criteria set as any hotel in Europe. Legally, there's definitional differences in Europe, whereas in America, it's a little more flexible. You can kind of call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. Okay. So like thinking that you know something is what usually gets yourself into trouble. Thinking about all the minutia of dates, time zone changes, language barriers, like these are all little things that tend to get in the way. And the thing is if you have enough money, you'll probably be able to get yourself out of the grease, no matter what. But there is a better way to do it. I mean, you can screw a screw in with a hammer. It just takes a lot more effort. And so we as travel professionals have the right tools, the right knowledge, and it goes right back to the psychology, Deneen. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's what I key in on more than anything, right? Psychology. What is the point of a vacation? The point of a vacation is to take away stress. If you start planning it yourself, you are actually adding another job to your job description. And that is the complete opposite of taking away stress. It's impossible, right?
Yeah.
You cannot plan your own vacation and have less stress, period. Okay. Another thing that I think about is this is, what is the cheapest vacation that anybody can have?
Staying at home.
You're actually the first person who's actually answered that right. Yeah, no vacation at all. Okay. The cheapest vacation is no vacation at all. And so here's the thing, right? Is if you're choosing to go somewhere on a vacation, you have to understand that at a definitional level, you are choosing to spend money. So now it's not a question of whether you're going to spend money or not. It's a question of only one thing. What is your experience going to be like?
Yeah.
Okay. I've never met anybody who 5 years after their trip and remembered exactly how much they spent had a good time.
True. Very true.
If that's what you remember, like you messed up,
You
because
did
there's other
something
things
very wrong.
you did, right? There's so many things to remember, but how much money you spent isn't one of them.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, I'm so excited that you're revolutionizing the way travel is done, because speaking from someone who definitely needs a vacation and needs your services, this is amazing. So Shane, for anyone who wants to, okay, first of all, you're about to embark on a really cool journey. Okay, you're going to be traveling all over the world. I'm not going to go into details because I don't know if I'm allowed to, but for someone who maybe wants to follow your travels over the next year or so, how can people find you on social media?
So probably the easiest way is Shane Mahoney 360.com, 360. So Shane, Shane, Mahoney, Honey, 360.com. And that has actual links to videos that will define like who we are and what we do. All of my personal and professional social media sites, my website, and basically anything and everything about me and Lugos Travel can be accessed from there.
Awesome.
That's probably the easiest way. And you know, I'm super lucky and grateful that I get to do what I do, because you know, we deal with happy people having great times and creating those memories. You know, our tagline is that we've been turning travel dreams into memories for over 13 years. And honestly, it's an honor to be able to do that for so many different people all over the United States and the world. I just encourage people to get out there and try something new, you know?
Yeah.
I think there's so much inertia in not doing something because I think definitionally you know that it's going to be difficult, laborious, stressful, and all these other things. And I just want people to know that that's not necessarily the case. We've revolutionized the entire process and made it as easy as it can possibly be.
Sounds amazing. So everyone watching this, go to ShaneMahoney360.com. Make sure you follow Shane on his travels. And the next time you're traveling, this is the person you need to be reaching out to. So make sure you do that. Shane, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I feel like after talking to you, I need a vacation just because of the way that you've described the way that you handle it. So thank you so much for laying out the way that you handle travel. And for anyone who's listening, who's an entrepreneur, a business owner, a coach, what I want you to do is take what you learned from Shane and ask yourself, how can I apply this to my business? Because you've put the easy button on something that's so stressful that's supposed to be fun. And I want all business owners to kind of start changing their thought process. How can I make this psychologically easier for my customer to utilize my service? Because my service is going to make their lives better in many ways.
Deneen, can I share with you what an entrepreneur told me was his secret to becoming more wealthy?
Yes, please. All of
I
my
think this is
listeners want to hear
applicable
this.
to everybody who needs to hear this, okay? So as a business owner, I think we can all agree that our main chief job is to develop systems and processes such that our business can run without our immediate input and our finger on the, on every single bit of the pulse, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, his theory was that if you never actually test your systems and see where they break, then you never actually know what to improve or how to improve it. And so his theory was this: develop your systems, develop your processes, go on vacation, see what breaks, come back, fix it, go on vacation, see what breaks, fix it. He's like, and essentially what he's done over the last several years of implementing this process is that he can now go on any amount of time that he wants to, and his business now runs without him. And because of that, he's now more profitable, but also enjoying his life immensely. And I thought that was something that everybody could enjoy.
How going on vacation can improve your business. If you want to hear more, make sure you subscribe to this podcast. I love that. That's phenomenal advice. Most people would be afraid that they would come back in flames, but he's like, no, you know what? We're going to improve everything. I love that. That alone is worth $1 million of value on the podcast. Thank you so much, Shane. I love
You're
that.
welcome.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, everyone listening, ShaneMahoney360.com. Follow along his journey. Make sure you book some travel with this man and let him know that you heard about him here on Coffee in the Green Room. Shane, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate this. Is an amazing podcast. Thank you so much.
My absolute pleasure.
Awesome. And for anyone listening, make sure you hit subscribe to the Coffee in the Green Room podcast because you never know who is going to be on the podcast and you never know what you're going to learn. So make sure you hit subscribe and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much.